That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic. Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B, and of course, Just Jack, Flat Earth.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. So just like a heads up, next week I will not be available because I will be celebrating 20 years of almost perfect marriage. Obviously we're human beings. We've had issues at some points in our 20 years, but for the most part, it's pretty good haul. And can't wait to celebrate it with my wife. We're going to be gone for a few days in a cabin and secluded, and having some of my older children watch some of my younger children so we can actually get away and have a good time. But how it is, Karen. Like, I need a break for my children, and then you're gone for a day and you're like, oh, I want to call my children.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how it goes. But uh I'll get to the disclaimer. Just Jack's disclaimer to the religious. If you believe it's wrong to study the scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including that scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then this stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then the stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language and using concordances or dictionaries for root words as well as context from a non-religion perspective. We will as well have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about the theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, Judaism, or Muslim. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradicts the scriptures. There you go. All right. So last week was the final oracle from Balaam to Balak, where Balak was trying to, and his Balaam was trying to pay Balaam to curse Israel, and every time he tried, he spent more and more resources to try to curse Israel, and every time Balaam had to bless Israel because he had no alternative. Yah made him speak the correct words. So we we wrapped that up. That was like a side story of people trying to curse Israel as they were moving through the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're in a connecting story, but you won't find out about the connection until chapter 31. But this incident will get described in depth as we move on. But we're going to see that Israel is not always in the favor of Yah, because they mingle, they mix things, they worship other deities. They as this scripture calls it, they whore away from Jehovah. So we can go ahead and get in it, and I'll pull up the parallel, and whenever you're ready.
All right. And Yisrael dwelt in Shittim, and the people began to whore with daughters of Moab.
Well, there we go. So the people began to whore, right? And some people would say, well, the daughters of Moab were whores, and that's how they whore. But there's a lot of places throughout scripture where Yah has spoken to the children of Israel and that said that they went whoring after other deities and everything else. So I think it's more in line with whoring as in like cheating on Jehovah with other deities and their practices of worship. And as we're going to get into the details of this one, you're going to see it's pretty hoary.
I'm just curious, what is the root word of whore?
I think it's the matic, or the to whore. This is a wholesome show. Whore. Yeah, it's a matic. Okay, so this is the groundbreakers, right? So the pictograph is a picture of an agricultural cutting implement as the matic, or a hoe. And of course, the noon is the seed, the picture of the seed. Combined means matic of the seed. One of many agricultural tools was a hoe or a matic. Oh, I should blow this up. This is very, very tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. This implement had a wide blade for cutting up plant stalks at the roots. the crops were harvested for supply of foods, which were stored in jars. Okay, so it's about harvesting and using a matic. So whoredom in the sense of being spread abroad like seed. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's the gist of it. All right.
All right.
Verse 2.
Okay. And they invited the people to the slaughterings of their mighty ones, and the people ate and bowed down to their mighty ones.
Okay, so this bowed down has some extra um information about this deity worship. So yeah, the daughters of Moab invited the Israelites, and we're gonna see later on it's not just the Midian, oh my gosh, the Israelites, but the Midianites as well. The Midianites were when Moses came out of Egypt, he went to Midian, and his father Jethro was a Midian priest.
Mm-hmm.
So just for context there. All right, so we're at verse 3.
Thus Israel was joined to Baal Peor, and the displeasure of Jehovah burned against Israel.
Okay,
Yisrael.
so let's go back to that heading thing. So typically, at the top of chapters, I mean, this was originated in the King James Version, but they started putting headings at the beginning of each chapter. And this says Baal worship at Peor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Peor being a location and Baal being the deity. However, the place of Peor, the mountain of Peor, was named after the deity Baal Peor. So it's not at Peor, it's Baal Peor worship.
Okay.
So it's not to be confused, because there is a deity that's just called straight Baal. You know, everybody, well, a lot of people have heard of Baal worship or Baal worship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's familiar with this, but this is literally Baal Peor. And for some that don't know, we've gone through this multiple times, but the word Baal literally just means Lord, okay? And Peor means of the opening, the wide opening, the gap. Okay, this is actually a deity that they worship with their rear ends, right? And the deity had a nose on the statue, which most statues, if you look at idolatry back in the day, most statues didn't have a nose at all, and this one had an extra long nose, and they would use this nose to worship the deity by putting it up their rear end. And this is Baal Peor worship. And Karen and I were talking about, there was a friend of mine who mentioned maybe this is where brown nosing came from and
Yeah.
butt kissing. And it's like, because if you think about in reality, no one has ever literally kissed butts to get ahead. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So where did this concept come from? This
Yeah.
saying come from?
Where did the euphemism of having to actually kiss someone's ass to
Or brown nose.
or brown nose
Yes.
to gain favor, to gain their
Right.
favor?
And that's another thing is like, even when you say like kiss butt and brown nose, right? You kiss butt should be like brown lips. Why the nose?
Mm-hmm.
And it could all go back to Bay or now this is an assumption. Okay. I'm taking leaps of logic here. But it fits. It's very interesting that Baal Peor was worshipped in this manner, and we have this weird euphemism of brown nosing. So
Yeah, it does.
um
It is weird, and the whole obsession with sodomy, like
yeah,
it's
and then the bowing down in this case
yeah,
means something else. So
it
all
is
right, verse
weird.
4.
And Jehovah said to Moshe, take all the leaders of the people and hang them up before Jehovah, before the sun, so that the burning displeasure of Jehovah turns away from Israel.
Okay, so this says hang them up, and this was done by the scriptures version. However, the King James version says take the heads of the people and hang them up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it could be heads as of leaders, but and it's dislocate, not hang. So chop off their heads, basically.
Okay.
Um, because there was defiling going on in the in the backside and the front side. So anyway, so yeah, anybody who's like in charge of the families and are leading people to do this kind of worship, we need to cut them off, like literally. Okay. Verse 5.
And Moshe said to the judges of Israel, each one of you kill his men who were joined to Baal Peor.
And again, joined.
Mm-hmm.
Joined in what
Joined,
way?
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And this is join as in, not join as in Levi, but join as in yoked, attached together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that, all right, 6.
And see, one of the children of Israel came and brought to his brothers a Midianite woman before the eyes of Moshe and before the eyes of all the congregation of the children of Israel, who were weeping at the door of the tent of appointment.
Okay, so Moshe and all the congregation of the children of Israel were weeping at the door of the tent of appointment. And this dude decides, I'm going to take this Midianite woman in front of y'all, and I'm going to have my way with her in a worshipful style for Baal Peor. All right.
And when Pinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aharon the priest.
It's Phinehas.
Pinehas? Pinehas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually Phin. I don't know why they put a P there. It's supposed to be PH.
Oh, Phinehas?
Phinehas, yes.
Son of Eleazar, son of Aharon the priest, saw it. He rose up from among the congregation and took a spear in his hand. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly. Thus the plague among the children of Israel came to a stop.
All right. So, yeah, so it went through him and through her belly. So he's behind her. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went through him and her. Yeah. Because he's behind her. He's not having regular relations, right? Anyway, so the thing that is missed here also in English is this word tent and this word belly are the same word. And it's about the cavity of the cavity to be filled. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a word of a tent, as in a tent that would be used for shenaniganizing.
Like a whorehouse.
Yeah. See, it's a domed cavity, right? So it's not just a tent, which is a very common word. This is specifically cavity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the belly here, the abdomen as a cavity. See, it's the same word, right?
Okay.
So he went into the cavity and shoved the spear through him and then through her cavity. So, in other words, it may not be her stomach, is what I'm trying to say. That's all.
Just somewhere in the abdomen area.
No, I think it was lower.
Okay, well, whatever.
I think it went through him and through her, right? Because the worship is done in that area, and pierced them both through. That's what I think happened there.
Okay, well, it just says abdomen, Jack. We don't have to get
No,
gross.
it says cavity.
Cavity.
That's what
whatever.
I'm saying. Yeah,
cavity.
Yeah.
We don't have to get gross.
So no, I'm not. I'm not being
Kinda.
gross. I'm saying. No, I'm trying to say like it's like the punishment fits the crime type of scenario.
Okay.
Right. So he goes into the cavity, the den of promiscuity, right? And then through the cavity, right? So cavity to cavity. That's what I'm trying to say there. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right.
Sorry if it's nasty, but it is nasty. The whole thing's nasty.
I know, but like, I don't know. I just don't feel like we have to like paint those pictures.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking, yeah, to me, it's just like, okay, this is all poetic justice, I guess. All right.
And those who died in the plague were 24,000.
All right. Because of whatever they were doing with the worship of their Baal Peor. All right, verse 10.
And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, son of Aharon the priest, has turned back my wrath from the children of Israel, because he was ardent with my ardor in their midst, so that I did not consume the children of Israel in my ardor.
Wow, those are words I do not hear. Ardor.
Yeah.
This is jealous or zealous. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, it would be Yah's jealousy, but it would be because of Phinehas's zealousy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was zealot, my jealousy, my jealousy. So it's the same word in Hebrew, zealous or jealous, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, verse 12.
Therefore say, see, I am giving my covenant of peace. And it shall be to him and to his seed after him a covenant of an everlasting priesthood, because he was ardent for his Elohim and made atonement for the children of Israel.
So the lineage of Phinehas will always have a high stature priesthood within the service of the tabernacle because he was willing to uh, do what was commanded. Yeah, to take out those who are worshiping falsely.
Mm-hmm. And the name of the man of Israel who was struck with the Midianite woman, was Zimri, son of Salu, a leader of a father's house among the Shimonites.
Right. Otherwise known as Simeon, right? The house of Simeon. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Yeah, so Zimri, which means he probably of the family of musicians because it means to pluck the music. All right, 15.
And the name of the Midianite woman who was struck was Cosbi, the daughter of Sur. She was head of the people of a father's house in Midian.
And I'm kind of skeptical if this was actually her name or if it was like her nickname because it literally means liar, like lies of, right?
Uh-huh.
Like why would you name your child liar? I mean, so I could yeah, see it says here
Cosby.
from the root false, right?
Uh-huh.
And then if I go here to lie, to deceive, literally or figuratively, to be a liar. Like I doubt somebody named their child liar. I think that was like a nickname, but
Hmm.
I could be wrong.
Hmm. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, distress the Midianites, and you shall strike them.
Okay, so they have completely the tribe of Midian had went to the Baal Peor worship instead of the worship of Jehovah. And then they brought the Israelites into it as well. All right, 18.
For they distressed you with their tricks, and which they deceived you in the matter of Peor, and in the matter of Cosbi, the daughter of a leader of Midian, their sister, who was struck in the day of the plague because of Peor.
Okay, so this is why I was talking about, maybe it was a nickname because here we're talking about Cosby and deceived, which is the same concept, deception, lying, you know, uh, the name being liar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of that story. And because they lost so many in these scenarios, then yeah, we're jumping into chapter 26 now. That Yah asked for a census to be made. So I'm going to read a few of these verses because they're, kind of relevant. Or you could read through them if you'd like. I mean, it's up to you. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? Because I'll tell you which verses to read.
Yeah, which
Because
verses are we?
oh, just to let people know, the reason I'm not reading every single verse in this is because it's a chapter of 65 verses, and a majority of them is the generations. This one begat this one, begat that one, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a census. So we've discussed early on that we didn't want to go through like these long drawn out census, but I did find some verses that I wanted to pull out of here. so that we can kind of see a couple of things. So the first one is we're going to read 1 through 4.
Okay. And it came to be after the plague that Jehovah spoke to Moshe and Eleazar, son of Aharon the priest, saying, Take a census of all the congregation of the children of Israel from 20 years old and above, by their fathers' houses, everyone going out to the army in Israel.
Okay, and army does not necessarily mean army. It could be all who stand with the leader. So it could be the workforce, the group of people. It's not necessarily army, because we're not talking about going to war here. We're talking about a census.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we should note is that according to scripture, a child, a male child becomes a man when he's at 20 years old, which is our 19, because
Mm-hmm.
you're in your 20th year. You've completed 19 years. Now you're in your 20th year. So now you're a man. So that's also noted. Okay. 3.
All right. So Moshe and Eleazar the priest spoke with them in the desert plains of Moab by the Yarden of Jericho, saying,
Okay. And Yarden of Jericho is the Jordan River near Jericho, right? So
mm-hmm.
people, try to get the relationship in English. All right. Verse 4.
Take a census of the people from 20 years old and above, as Jehovah commanded Moshe and the children of Israel who came out of the land of Mitzrayim.
And for those who don't know, Mitzrayim is
Egypt.
Egypt, right? Okay. So verse 9.
And the
And
son
I'm glad you answered that, because what if I put you on the spot and you didn't remember? Oh my gosh, I'd feel so bad.
and the
All right.
sons of Eliav and Nemuel and Dathan and Aviram. This Dathan and Aviram were called the ones of the congregation who contended against Moshe and against Aharon in the company of Korah when they contended against Jehovah.
Verse 10.
And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up together with Korah when that company died, when the fire consumed 250 men, and they became a sign.
Verse 11.
But the sons of Korah did not die.
Okay, so if you remember, they were standing against Moshe, like, how come you're in charge? We should be in charge. And
Mm-hmm.
they got together and the earth opened them up and swallowed them up. So that was a recall back to that. And it's saying that, the men died, but his Korach, his children stayed alive because they were not with him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to jump ahead to verse 33. And this is for those who think that women are not counted within the scriptures. Okay, verse 33.
All right. And Zelophehad, Zelophehad, son
Zelophehad.
Zelophehad,
Yeah.
son of Hefer, had no sons but daughters, and the names of the daughters of Zelophehad, Mahlah and Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirzah.
Yeah, those names wouldn't fly today. Let me tell you. But he had no sons, so the daughters were counted.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I've heard from people like, the book's so misogynistic, the women are ignored, da 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 da. And that's not the case. Like, you just need to know where to look. Verse 52.
All right. 52. And Jehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, The land is to be divided to these as an inheritance according to the number of names. To the large one you give a larger inheritance, and to the small one you give a smaller inheritance. Each shall be given its inheritance according to their registered ones.
Okay, so when we're talking about inheritance, they're talking about, okay, when we cross over the Yarden and we take over the promised land, that's, people recognize promised land,
Mm-hmm.
that it'll be divided up, and the large families get the large chunk of lands and the small families get the small chunks of lands, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But the land is divided by lot. They inherit according to the names of the tribes of their fathers.
Okay, so what that's talking about is the okay, so this is Simeon's lot, and then within Simeon's lot, his children, this child takes this large portion, this child takes a small portion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the families stay together, and then the larger families of those families get the larger plots, and the smaller get smaller plots. That's what we're talking about. All right.
All right.
Which I'm just repeating the verse you're about to read, so sorry about that.
Yeah. According to their lot, inheritance is divided between the larger and the smaller.
Okay, now we're going to jump forward to 61 and finish out the chapter.
Okay. And Nadab and Avihu died when they brought strange fire before Yehovah.
So that's a throwback to what we talked about before. The sons of Aaron that brought strange fire, and they had to be dragged out by a rope.
Mm. And their registered ones were 23,000, every male from a new moon old and above, for they were not registered among their children of Israel, among the other children of Israel, because there was no inheritance given to them among the children of Israel.
Okay, the new moon, it would be, a lunar cycle, right?
Mhm.
So a month, right?
These are the ones registered by Moshe and Eleazar, the priest, who registered the sons of Israel in the desert plains of Moab by the Yarden of Jericho.
Okay.
But among these there was not a man of those registered by Moshe and Aharon the priest when they registered the sons of Israel in the wilderness of Sinai.
In other words, none of these names are the people that they counted when they left Egypt. It's their descendants, right?
Mhm.
So that goes on to verse 65.
For Jehovah had said of them, they shall certainly die in the wilderness, and not a man was left of them, except Caleb, son of Yefuneh, and Yehoshua, son of Nun.
All right, there we go. So this is where they were told to send out spies of each tribe to check out the land, and they're like, we're like grasshoppers to them. They're super big. They're gonna
Mhm.
take us out. And Caleb's like, no, let's go kick their butt. If Yah's with us, we can do this, right?
Mhm.
And so he said, basically, everyone of that generation is not making it to the promised land, so they need to die in the wilderness, which is why they hung out there for so long. And now there's a consensus, and there's nothing left but the children of those who left Egypt. So these are a whole new group of people, a whole new generation of people that did not have the influence of being brought up in Egypt, right? Being brought up in the slavery, worshiping their deities, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
But yet they still have to deal with the deities of the land. So that's a common occurrence. So, all right, I'm gonna check out the chat now, and I'm sorry if the details of the vulgarity was not great, but I wanted to make the point is I didn't see this connection before. I had heard this the story of Baal Peor back in 2013 or so. So that was over a decade ago. And there was no connection made that there's a different word other than stomach. So the way that, I thought it was is that they were, just together and a spear went through them. But then
Mhm.
when you read the words that they use specific words to say, no, it's like the peor is the wide opening, and the spear went into the cavity, translated as tent, through her cavity, which is translated as abdomen. So that's my point, is like there is a thread here where it's like a poetic justice, carried out. Sorry. All right. I'll shout out some names here. Justin Johnson, Captain Construction, Crypto MILF. Okay, that not spelled MILF, but it's pronounced MILF, it looks like. Anyway, Tony Coriolis, Joseph Osborne, TC Zamman, Mariah Jordan, aka Maria Jordan,
Mhm.
which means Yah is our teacher, which is a very interesting name. Anyway, Stationary Pizza, Aisling 717. What's up, Cammy? NDB, Valley Parks, Dave Messenger, Ali B, Brianna Lynn, Josh Jones, FE Nation, what's up? Duke Nukem, Valley Parks. Forgive me if I'm skipping over names. Gregory May, Boston Ray, Austin Murphy. A lot of names today. This is great. I love it. Charles Arnold and Geo World. All right. Now I'll scan through and see if there's some comments or questions. Dave Messenger says Yahuwah made flat earth, keep it flat, baby. Valley Park says he wants to praise Yah for protecting his family and Pitbull. Me, my family, and Pitbull.
Yeah, don't start talking about, I'm gonna just hide you, dude, because I don't want that. I'm over that bullshit. For real.
Do you know Paleo Hebrew Yod He Vav He? Yeah, I do a lot with Paleo, and I find that very cool that you're able to put that Paleo in the chat. I don't know how you did that. Maybe it's an image because you're a supporter of Karen B, and if so,
No,
good.
because
Mad props.
I didn't put that in my image. I don't know
you
how he
have
did
to
that.
you have to give them images to click.
Yeah,
Oh,
he must have copied and pasted that from somewhere.
I don't know how he did that, but that's cool. I've never seen that done where he's able to, because that's not a normal font. Like even if you copy Hebrew, you can't get it to do a paleo font. So Dave Messenger, email justjackflatearth@gmail.com and tell me how you did that. I want to know because that's cool. All right. Sorry. That's my own thing. So yeah, I'm definitely into the paleo style. Free Israel from what? Yeah, I have no connection with the display on the news. Let's put it that way. I have no connection with that whatsoever. Gregory May says cavity creep. Yeah, that's the thing. Yep. Regular relations question mark? Yeah, I didn't know how else to say it. I didn't want to get too detailed. It was already too detailed. I didn't want to get into detail. All right. Did you see a rabbi in the whole of the New York synagogue? I don't know what that's talking about.
Oh, you didn't hear the news story about the synagogue in New York where there was a bunch of Jews that were like digging tunnels. They were digging out the underneath the synagogue and it was like
Oh,
going
geez.
underneath the buildings next to it. And they were
Oh,
just
geez.
yeah, and there's all kinds of they found like weird mattresses. Like it's just weird. The whole thing is creepy. And then like the city sent cement trucks and was like trying to fill the whole thing with cement. Like the day after they found it, they're like fill the hole with
Like
cement.
quickly covered up. Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
crazy. The whole thing is crazy. I still don't know what they were doing there.
Yeah, that is crazy. And it's like we're talking about this situation in this chapter, and it says, "Did you see the rabbi in the hole?" And I'm like, what? Okay. Okay, he says he loves Jews as a Muslim because most Muslim prophets were Jews from origin. Yeah, that's absolutely true. We welcome all religions here. Well, actually, I say leave religion at the door. We welcome all those who have a faith in the Creator and are seeking Him out in their way. I'll leave it at that. Backyard got flooded. Okay, now we're definitely off the content here. All right. Good show, guys.
Finding more at other temples. Finding more what?
I'm not reading your comment because I don't want them to be spiraling on a stupid subject.
No, just don't. Just don't.
Stupid subject.
Let's just ignore that.
This is to discredit this. Like, who cares? Who cares? I don't care about the past. I don't care about the future because we can't verify diddly. You know, all I know is I'm going to do my best to seek truth and apply it as necessary. And
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't just mean scripture. That means all truth. Sorry, I'm reading the chat, folks. I'm just looking to see if there's
Any more
something.
questions,
Yeah,
comments about chapter?
I'm enjoying the scripture. Okay, that's a good shout out. I wish to send blessings to my family for extracting me and my pit bull lily pad from my cabin. We may have perished this winter. Wow, praise Yah that you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do not find this weather natural. I'll leave it at that. Good Times for All says they are now finding more at other temples. I think he's talking about the synagogues, is what he's talking
Oh, you
about.
mean under tunnels being dug
But
out?
let me just give you a major disclaimer. Synagogues are not temples. Okay, even if they call them temples, they're not temples. Just to let
Okay,
you know.
the temple part confused me. That's why I was like, what temple do you
Yeah,
mean? Okay.
yeah. I assume that's what he's talking about. Inhuman Ways says, yo, Karen, I moved to India. It's very nice up here.
Indiana.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. That's my bad. The screen is like literally like 3 inches away from my face, and it actually makes it blurrier because it's like right there. Because usually I lay all the way down and I use it for AutoCAD. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. All weather is engineered. That's an interesting comment. I'm not making any claims, but that's an interesting comment. All weather is engineered. Okay.
Well, I don't know about that, but a lot of the weather in NATO countries seems to be pretty engineered.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um, do interesting research on what's it called? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I forgot the term. They have a technical term for it, and I can't think of it. Well, I mean, you can look at high altitude injection, but that's not the word I was thinking of.
High
There's a
stratospheric aerosol.
Yeah, there's another word for geoengineering that they use, and I can't think of it right now. But anyway, not that I necessarily am saying that those things are true. I'm just saying there's some interesting things to look at. Disclaimer. Um, I can put my cigarettes out in the snow and it gets wet. So there's at least that. The cigarette gets wet? All right, cool. Um, I've melted snow that didn't melt before, so yeah.
That's cool. Indiana's got the eclipse going through it in a couple months.
Groovy.
So you should check if you're in the path of totality. It's going through the southern part of Indiana.
High altitude aerosol dispersion. Yeah, that's the technical term for that plane stuff, but I was talking about something specific in the overarching. I can't remember what it's called, but shalom, Karen B, and just Jack Flat Earth, and everyone. First time in this chat. Yah bless. She's using the term God. I'm just giving that disclaimer, but we've done a lot of talking about the term God, so I just changed it to Yah bless. Yah is the short, proper form of the creator, rather than the replacement title God, which is actually the prosperity deity of Babylon. But anyway, that's whatever. Very unusual weather. Yeah, totally off the rails. But Yah bless y'all. I'm going to have a great week with my wife after 20 years of marriage, and
That's
we'll
cool.
see you in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Well,
A shalom from Lisa Sevier. Sorry if I read that wrong, Sevier. And that was Yvette that said shalom. Yeah, LOL. Yes. Like hallelujah. Yeah. Like it's always been there. But yeah. Welcome, Yvette. Yep. Alrighty.
Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for another episode of Anti-Religious Scripture Study, and it's good to always see you in chat. And we will see you not next week, but the week after, because Jack will be celebrating his anniversary. So happy anniversary to Jack and Carolyn. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Shabbat shalom.
And the earth is still flat.
And the earth is still flat. Have a restful day.
Shabbat shalom. Yeah, have a restful day. Shalom.